I'm Paul.
And I'm Kenny. And this is EWPK. We have to do our show from New York at some point.
I know.
I love it. I'm like back there in the green room rocking out every time I hear that.
Yeah, but it's like a pure mental construct, right? It has nothing to do with reality at all.
I know.
Do you realize this is our first show of 2024?
I know. Don't say that.
Well,
I mean,
fair.
I guess
well, monthly.
It is January. Yeah. I
managed to
I
make
feel
it
like God, I just feel like it's been so long since we've done a show.
Well, actually, it has, because we didn't do one in December or November. So
yeah,
we had this about 3 months.
I mean, you and I, of course, have chatted, but I miss the show and having the amazing people that we have on. So it's great to be back. Happy 2024, Paul.
Yeah, same to you. I mean, I have to admit, this is not my favorite year so far, but on the whole, I'm excited about what's coming up. No, it's no point in making it morbid, right? So it's more like let's say what's coming up, though, the rest of the year is super interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, and what's amazing to me is that we get to kick off the year with, I think, something that's I'll put it this way. On the one hand, it's completely marvelous. On the other hand, I am completely jealous. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, literally we get to see a dream being realized. Mm-hmm. That for me, I'm 74. It's been my dream since I'm, I don't know, 4. And here we are 70 years later. It hasn't happened yet. Right. I haven't made it work yet because I don't have the talent. I'm leaving it vague deliberately because I want to we'll get to the
dream. A dream. Yeah, dream realized. I like that. That's good. And that's a perfect segue into what I'm drinking.
I didn't realize that was.
I can't wait to get into what I'm drinking. I know that was the whole reason for the setup. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm drinking something that has a story. Maybe many of you have known this. Paul, I'm not sure. Are you familiar with this?
I'm familiar with it. I've never had it.
My entire family thinks it's a joke and can't believe that I actually have it. But it's called Screwball, and it's peanut butter whiskey.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so peanut butter whiskey. So let me just tell you a little bit about this. It's 70 proof. It is. I'm from San Diego. It's from San Diego. And do you want to talk about what you're drinking? Then we'll go back and forth.
No,
you want me to... Okay.
Tell the story. Yours
is a lot more sophisticated than mine tonight. Anyway, what I love about it is it's this. Well, first of all, the flavor. If you like peanut butter, I know for many of you it might sound horrible, but it's actually this really kind of harmonious blend of flavors, and it's surprising. It's a little salty, a little sweet, a little savory. You have to be in the right mood for it because it's fairly sweet, but it was created by a guy who grew up in Cambodia, came over to the United States, luckily through a series of events, and found himself in San Diego, Ocean Beach to be exact, opened a bar, created a whiskey drink made out of peanut butter and whiskey, married a chemist and lawyer. They decided to... it was so popular, they decided to make it into a drink called Screwball, and it's been widely successful. So again, a dream realized, Paul.
How do you distill peanut butter?
I guess very slowly. I don't know. I mean,
right.
It is. I would imagine the distillation process happens first, and then they add in the. I don't know, but the concept of the screwball is like these misfits that have big dreams that are doing amazing things in the world that may not necessarily fit, and that's how he saw himself. It kind of harkens back to Steve Jobs, only people, only the crazy people. What's that quote? Only the crazy people think they could change the world, and they usually are the ones who do it. Same sort of thing. So, Screwball, everyone, pick it up wherever fine liquors are sold, or maybe even fine liquors aren't sold. You might be able to pick it up. Like, I know. Okay, just to tell you, I did find it in my local Rite Aid. So,
All right. Right
just to keep
alongside the Tylenol.
That's right.
Right
And what are
next to
you?
the Tylenol.
Yeah, right between the Tylenol and the Mylanta. What are you drinking, Paul?
Okay, so this is, as you can probably see, Heaven's Door, Homesick Blues, and there's a reason for this one. Now, first of all, the whiskey itself it's bourbon. Okay, it's a big bourbon. This thing is the kind of thing that's I think is 120 some odd proof.
Wow.
Oh yeah. It's a long hot finish. It's I mean, you know how bourbon gets described as caramel because of its bit of a sweetness. It's got the sweetness for sure, but because of the alcohol, it's got a gigantic kick, basically. Now, the interesting thing to this specific whiskey is the story.
Oh,
Heaven's Door is the distillery owned by Bob Dylan. Okay, now, interestingly enough, you'll note the name of it, and that's why I bought it, is Homesick Blues. Now, let me show you something here. This came in the box with it. This is Bob Dylan's scribblings for Subterranean Homesick Blues. Needless to say, if it was the original, I wouldn't be here. I'd be auctioning this off right now. But this was the theme song for the what people know from history now is the Weather Underground, which, as you know, I was a part of when I was a kid.
yeah.
Right. And the line in there was, and it's let's see if I can find it here. Yeah. I'll put my finger by it. Let's see. I can do that. Right here. That line is, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. That was our theme, right? This in combination with the glass I'm drinking it in, which is the Yankees, is pretty much my entire life in a nutshell. right. From weatherman to Yankee fan, right? To Yankees fan. But it's a good drink. Is it the best bourbon I've ever had? No. But the story for me is probably going to be my favorite bourbon story, at least forever, because of the actual history of this. And I didn't know this till I opened it today, because I opened it for the show. I didn't know that this was in it. And this is seriously cool. So
wow,
there you have
and
it.
That's pretty amazing. That's like cask strength, right? Isn't that the ABV?
Oh God, yeah. No, it's 122.7. Cask strength is typically anything over 100 proof, really.
Yes.
So this is pretty heavy duty, which is also why that will not be even close to finished. As you know, most of the time, I think to be honest, everybody listening here, it's pretty ceremonial, right? Oh, so we have a couple people checking in. Fred McClyman, who's an old buddy of ours. Fred's a brilliant analyst. He's been an analyst, among other things, over his life. Wonderful guy, brilliant guy too. And this guy, of course, we all know.
Dr. Leary.
Yep. And somebody who I'm about to show you a comment from somebody who gives you a big hint as to who our guests are going to be.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty close to them.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite human beings on the planet too. Um, so before we get to talking about our guests a little bit, anything on your mind that you want to shoot the breeze about? Anything you've been thinking about? Honestly, I'm pretty mindless, but
I'm excited about the Super Bowl. Besides look at I also I'm from the Bay Area, right? So and I'm from the Warriors, so we're pretty close with all the Bay Area teams. So it felt good for the
well, Kenny, I don't know if you've got, but Kenny seems to have frozen. Oh, you're back now. You froze for a minute.
It's funny to be in the Bay Area but not have great connectivity. It's unbelievable. Silicon Valley. So anyway, I'm super happy that the 49ers there. I feel bad for Detroit. I think that would have been super fun. But I am really excited about the commercials, and I'll watch the game as well. But I was just reading up on this commercial that Google is doing for their Pixel camera, where they're simulating a blind person and how the Pixel can use AI to take pictures for blind people. They're actually putting some Vaseline on the camera to simulate what it would be like for a blind person to take a picture, to experience it. And I can't remember Google. They're back in the Super Bowl. They haven't had a couple commercials, but if the quality is going to be like that, and not all about Taylor Swift, I think it'll be fun. Sit back with some friends and watch it.
To tell you the truth, it's hard for me to feel sorry for, say, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, just because, I mean, I can't speak to their personal lives per se, but they're like mega wealthy. They pretty much can do what they want with their life. And to Taylor Swift's huge credit, she's becoming a spokesperson. I even found out that over Christmas, she gave out $55 million in bonuses to her staff, right? Things like that. I mean, I look, and when she was younger, I didn't like her at all. I just thought she was a crybaby kid with talent, but a crybaby kid. Now I really like her because I really think she is showing some enormous, like, she's caring about things, right? That matter, that actually matter. Travis Kelce, I like him just because he's been sort of a charming kind of football player, really. But I feel sorry for the two of them that they're getting all that kind of attention, really. I mean, unless they live for it, which they may or may not. I can't speak to that. I have to assume they
Come on,
at least
kissing him in front of the camera and everything. I think they're doing just fine. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't care that much to really see every single time that Travis Kelce catches a pass that they focus on the box where Taylor Swift's going, yay! Like, I mean, which is fine. I mean, she should, but I don't need to know it. There's thousands of fans in the stands doing the very, very same thing, but who she is. Again, nothing to her. This is media I'm talking about. In the NFL, I'm talking about. Nothing related to her at all. They're exploiting the hell out of it. And it's working too.
And that's the thing, is it is working. They've gained the viewership is ridiculous.
It's like the NFL really needed to work hard to get viewership.
I know. You got to hand it to the Super Bowl is still, if you look at the Grammys or the Emmys, and I judge for the Emmys, so I'm very aware of what the challenges in putting on that show and the viewership and the drop in that. And you got to hand it to the Super Bowl, though. Boy, it is still America's event, and it's going to be incredible. I think the game will be incredible, and I don't know who's doing halftime, though. Do you know who's?
Oh, I did, and I forgot.
No,
I actually do know, but I forgot. No, I think it's like Usher or somebody like. Usher.
Yeah.
I like Usher, but most of the halftime suck anyway. I mean, they're very rarely any good. People try too hard. So, speaking of singing,
Yeah.
So, it's funny how we do live from New York, which is, as I keep saying, it's just what goes on in my head since neither of us are in New York. But New York for me is like, I've already told you, one of the things that, aside from my birthplace, is one of the things it represents for me, of course, is New York sports teams. But the other one, and I grew up with since I was a baby, was Broadway, right?
Mm.
And I am enamored of Broadway. I love Broadway. There's nothing more than, if I go to New York, there's only two things I have to do, and a third one I hope I can do.
Does one involve a bagel?
No, I go home with bagels. I don't eat them there. I bring them home. I have to eat at great restaurants, and I have to go to at least one, if not two, Broadway shows. The third one is if I can get to a sports event, depending on the season and whether somebody in town's a little more iffy in terms of availability. But if I can do that, I have had the best trip ever. Broadway, though, my wife and I, that is the absolute must. And this show, we get to meet two twins, actually, who are up and coming. And I'm not saying this hyperbolically here. This is, let's call it statement of fact. Up and coming Broadway stars who, I think the first time I met them, they were, middle teenagers, maybe, 15, 16. I saw them through them thinking about what college they're going to. And of course, their dad's a very good friend of mine, and he's always kept me abreast of what they're up to all the time. I also heard them on YouTube, where you can hear the videos of these two young people singing at Citi Field, singing the national anthem at Citi Field. I think, they can correct me if I'm wrong, I think they did it twice. They just gave me a nod from the green room. I know I'm right. All right. Now, this duo, Amanda and Olivia Berkson, I want you to just think about this. College, okay, they're done. And since then, they have already written, produced, cast, and sung a song cycle at a legitimate theater in the area, in the Broadway area. And they've made decisions and accomplished something that takes years. I watched this video one time about this up and coming dancer who ended up being a big shot dancer on So You Think You Can Dance for a while. And it was a video about his trials and tribulations. He kept getting rejected as he tried to get, tried to get cast via auditioning. And he was rejected over and over and over again. I didn't particularly like him as a person. He was a bit of a jackass, right? But at the same time, he was a very good dancer. And he spent like 8 years being rejected. I want you to think about it. I'm going to say it again. They have written, produced, directed, I left that out, cast, and sung, and played the instruments with their cast of a song cycle already. And they wrote the libretto, they wrote the book, they did the whole thing. It's their baby. This is remarkable. And I can't wait to hear about the journey that got them there, where they're planning on going. And honestly, hopefully we'll have a surprise for you at the very end of the show. Fingers crossed it'll work.
Maybe they'll cast us in a show.
No, I guarantee. Let's put it this way, Kenny, before we get to our other studio, let me put it this way. When I was young, people said, "Did you sing in a group?" And I always say, "Yeah, I did. It was called the Monotones." Right? Right. Nobody's going to cast me anywhere.
Me either.
Cast me into the Red Sea.
Right overboard.
Right. So Brent, See, I'm not as good as Brent on getting these headlines. I mean, these comments up when they're made. Brent got it.
Thank you, Brent.
Right. Sorry. All right. So, what do you think? Do you think we ought to head on over to the other studio, and then we'll really get into this thing? All right. You ready?
Yeah. Take me
all
a
right,
second.
Me too. Yeah. Takes us a little time to get over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll see you over there.
I'll see you shortly.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm exhausted. I ran full speed.
Me too. I had a little power skateboard.
You know, it'd be funny. It'd be funny. You know how that technical thing where you can mirror the image. Yeah. We should do that. Tell them that's the second studio. We'll just mirror the image. It'd just be funny. So, what do you? I mean, I don't know. I actually know. I know you love theater, but I don't know much about what your tastes are. What, and also, yeah, you. I mean, what's your?
I love live. I build experiences, right? That's what I do. So I love live performances. I don't care what type of performance, whether it's an opera, like especially those movies where you continue to sing out loud, like the Rocky Horror Picture Show plays. That's why I even love going to sports games where there's just live things where you don't know what's going to happen, where it's just pure talent out there on a stage, a field, or a podium. It's just incredible. So this is very exciting to me to spend time with our guests.
Well, I think, are lucky because we have what is often called in the business a sizzle reel, meaning a series of short vignette, could be pieces of songs, could be scenes, whatever, that kind of give you a feel for what they're like. So what do you say we play the sizzle reel and then bring them on to talk it all through?
I think that would be great. You're in for a treat here.
Here we go.
Take a deep breath, it's only time. They say that the rush is worth the ride. Just rely on the universe to decide. Maybe it's not all in your hands. Maybe the world has different plans. But that doesn't stop your mind from worrying and hurrying. 'Cause don't cut me off or count me out. Put me at bed, I won't strike out. Don't call me cute, don't call me naive. I won't let you go until you love me.
But your eyes, just like mine, greenish blue with glimpses of gray. Are your eyes a disguise? Are they the you that you can't tuck away? Just keep looking at me, okay? Just keep looking at me, okay?
You weren't right in your assumptions. We're not right where we need to be. I guess my mind's in need of some correction. 'Cause I can't seem to see what's right in front of me. Right in front of me. So strange that when she's near, all my knowledge seems to disappear. I can't seem to talk like a normal human being. And when she says my name, I can never look at her the same. That I forget exactly what I'm doing.
All right. Mind blowing. So with that, Olivia, Amanda, come on board. There you are.
Hi.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
By the way, I just need to explain when it went off the thing and it went to the single. I'm not joking. This is an unusual tech glitch. A cat jumped on my hand while I was holding a mouse. And so the next time I hit the wrong one and then I went to the right one. Right. So that was where that came from. So look, you just blow me away. I mean, even listening to the sizzle reel, I'm hearing harmonies that are not simple. I'm hearing, and again, I'm not, I have a okay ear, but I have no voice and I don't have any knowledge, but I do know when I hear something good. And the other thing, which is amazing to me, is that you also cast every single person in that. So first of all, just each of you, both of you, how does love of Broadway even begin? I mean, what made you guys do this? I mean, was it a twin thing, right? Or did one of you decide, oh, this is amazing, let me tell my sister? I mean, how'd this go?
Liv, you want to start? Or?
Sure. So pretty much our mom is Westchester theater royalty. So we grew up seeing her in shows. We grew up on cast recordings. We didn't listen to like normal kids albums. It was the Broadway Kids. It was like Broadway compilations. So we always
The Wicked cast album. Always.
Mm-hmm. And then we would start to make up our own. Brent. Sorry. We saw that before.
Okay,
We were
that is a
cracking
common
up.
misconception. Alan Berkson can in fact sing. He can sing. He can hold harmony. It's very impressive.
starred
He's
as
taken voice lessons.
Starred as Drake and Annie. He did some original improv choreography, and we'd like to thank you, Herbert Hoover. He's very talented at being a last-minute understudy in theater. So
Just wanted to clear that up. Okay, so it's a theater family. But
Wow. That's right.
I was talking about, you could say.
Basically, we just grew up on musical theater. It kind of just is in our blood, and it pretty much raised us. I think of like Julie Andrews is like a part of my family because I've known her as long as I could remember, just from watching all these, like watching The Sound of Music and things like that.
It's funny because we never thought that we would write musicals, which is mind-boggling because we would always write musicals when we were younger. We would just like make them up. Like that was just a normal part of our childhood, and for some reason we never thought, oh, let's just do this for real. And I think it's so funny that it kind of came back. I feel like a big part of growing up is falling in love with what you loved as a kid again. And that's definitely what happened with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, all right, so you start singing together a lot of places, up to and including, as I mentioned, City Field, which is actually the first time I think I heard your voice in a public forum, so to speak. I saw the YouTube video that your dad pointed me to. But what you're doing now is way beyond any of that. I mean, you're literally, well, first of all, you happen to be doing what seems to be about 15 different jobs each, right? I mean, the two of you are basically a complete Broadway company.
Yeah.
That's the goal, absolutely.
I mean, first of all, how do you even do that? Secondly, have you guys kind of divided the tasks? I mean, who does what?
Okay, so basically that's so funny.
Pretty much, to sum it up,
yeah,
I am very much a musical person. I do a lot of I'm on the head of team music, if we're gonna say like a category. But for Waiting in particular, Amanda did she took on directing. We have an amazing producer who our dad got us in touch with. Her name's Patricia Klausner. She's incredible, but Amanda's really the one like listening and taking it in. She's so good at being in charge. I just like to go la 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 and just I like the music. So that's something that she really took on, and you could talk more about that.
Yeah, we were working with Patricia Klausner, and she's been kind of a producing consultant and executive producer for this past production. She basically answered every question I could possibly have, and even the ones I didn't know to ask. So she kind of helped us go down this path, and we had a lot of help from friends who are in the business or want to be in the business, and we're kind of learning as we go. Definitely learning as we go. Yeah.
Connections have been so important. All the arrangements, like obviously we wrote the music, but the piano arrangements were by our friend Alex Arlotta. So anytime that the piano sounded really cool and jazzy, that was him. And we're just so lucky that we happened to do theater with him growing up, and then we reached out and he was interested. And like we're really, a big goal of ours is to make a giant team and collaborate with a ton of people, because obviously like we know that we can do all these jobs, but it's so much more fun when there's more people and more creativity in the room.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting. So you guys both are on stage and you both perform, but like Amanda, so you've stepped into some of these other roles that are more behind the stage or in front of the stage, similar to maybe an actress or whatever, or an actor wanting to experience what it might be to produce instead of being in front of the camera, behind the camera. Have you found?
Whoop. He'll come back.
I think I know what he's about to ask.
Cite you and I'm so sorry. Are you still equally excited about being actually the one on stage as well, since you've experienced all this?
Yeah, actually, in my college experience, I've learned that I really love being on the creative side and really getting to play with kind of building the story, and and kind of getting to have a sense of control over like staging and movements and kind of the way that the audience is going to feel when they watch the piece. And I realized, that this brings me a lot of joy, and it might even bring me more joy than it actually performing. And it's not that I don't love performing, which I absolutely do. It's just that performing, I think, makes me so nervous. I have really bad stage fright because I'm a big perfectionist. So, like, of course, everything's running through my head of, like, I need to be saying the right thing. I need to be doing the right thing. Do I look okay? Is all those things. And then as a director, I'm like, no, I get to be in control of this, and then I get to sit back and just watch it, and it's so fun. So I definitely found a love for that.
Wow, fascinating.
So I happened to be in New York a few months ago, and my wife was doing a spiritual event, and I was visiting your parents actually, and the two of you walked in, and you were with another friend, Tammy, was it? Tammy? I don't remember her name. She was briefly introduced to me, a third friend.
Hallie?
Huh?
Was
Hallie.
It Hallie?
Yes,
that's my writing partner.
It was Hallie. It was Hallie. Yeah. And you had just, you had just finished callbacks.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, you literally that day.
Yes, we literally just came back.
I think you had 190 people who had originally auditioned. You had 17 callbacks, and you had 8 slots for 17 people. So you're in a position for the first time to say no to people. What was that even like? Right? I mean, because it couldn't have been easy.
Shatter people's dreams.
Well, luckily I didn't have to do it like in real time. Like it's not like a reality TV show where we have to say no and there's like a whole reaction. But it was definitely, we had to just think about what would be right for the show. And the best thing too is we had our friend Sophia. She was like the hall monitor. So we asked her like, are these people nice? Are they friendly? Because a lot of the times like they'll like put on an act around the people in the room and then be mean to like somebody working. Luckily nobody was mean.
Everyone was so nice.
She was just like, no, the people that we loved the most, she was the most excited about talking to. And especially since we want to create a community of people that we think are cool, like it was really nice. Like our favorite audition, her name's Kate, and she's one of our really good friends now, and we keep telling her, like, we watched your video maybe like 10 times. It was so good.
Yeah.
How did you find the theater? I mean, how did that work?
It kind of was. We just got back. We went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this summer, and I basically was like, okay, we have to do stuff. We have to figure out how we can get work up. So I just started emailing a bunch of different places, and the Laurie Beachman Theater got back to me, and they're like, yeah, what day do you want to do it? And I was like, wow, that was really fast and exciting. And that kind of, and everything kind of just went from there. Yeah.
So were you? Oh, sorry. No, I'm just curious. So do you book the location before you've done the casting call and all of that? Like, are you basically you're just kind of, I mean, hoping that everything comes together and
Yeah.
I think it also depends on it depends on the project. Some things this one was kind of like we just want to get the show off of kind of on its feet and kind of see what it looks like. So we got the space and we're like, great, we have a space, so now let's plan a thing around it. But sometimes companies will have a show and workshop it, and then they'll bring it somewhere, and then they'll bring it somewhere else. It's kind of each show has their own journey.
But a lot of the times you need to have the space, because when you workshop, there's a lot more like of yourself you need to bring into a workshop. So a lot of time people ask friends, so an audition process won't usually happen until it has a space, because then it's a lot easier to say you're contracted for this day at this space at this time, and it just makes it way less confusing.
Absolutely.
So tell us some more about waiting itself. Like tell for those who haven't seen it, and we'll put some links onto the show notes afterwards. What's the story, so to speak? Also, a little more behind the scenes. How'd you guys even come up with the idea?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like, how do you
It's
come
actually
up
really
with
funny.
It is a funny story. Should we start with where it was before and how it got there, or kind of like why we started to make it a show in general?
I think just start with the song.
Okay, yeah. So do you want to say that, or
Sure.
should I? No, we have
we both know the story, so it's like, ugh. So it started with Amanda was playing a little melody on maybe a cheap piano on the floor of our room, and I was like, oh, this is a cool melody, and she came up with the line, waiting takes a long time. If it were up to me, waiting would not be so long. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So then I started making up a whole story while she's playing underneath about it's insane, but it's about this girl who has a crush on this guy, and she accidentally trips him, and she's in the hospital waiting room like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And we always loved the song, and we thought it was it became a really clear sense of tone for us for our work, but it never read as a solo. And then now you can talk about how
and then basically we turned it into a group number for this show. And basically the show kind of happened because it was my last semester senior year, and I just thought to myself, wow, I want to use my resources that I have from my school while I still can, and I'd love to work with the people in my school, and just because there's just so many talented people at my school. I went to Muhlenberg College, amazing school, and I basically was like, I want to put on a show. I want to figure out how I can get some songs that Olivia and I have been writing for years and turned it into kind of a piece. So we ended up doing it based off of it's kind of like a thematic song cycle. So it's based off of a theme, and the general theme is the concept of waiting. And for me, waiting is the in-between moments of there's, especially as a young adult, it feels like we're waiting for everything. We're waiting for the big break. We're waiting to find love. We're waiting to find our people, our place, everything. And it just feels like we're just stuck in the waiting. And everyone tells me, oh, you love your 20s. Your 20s are great. You get to just have fun and whatever. But for me, I feel like I'm just constantly waiting for things to happen. And it feels really difficult. So this song cycle ended up being a compilation of this in-between period. And I feel like that's something that our generation really understands right now.
Yeah, and what happens when you don't wait? What are the consequences of doing something too quickly? And that was something we also played with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So are you taking waiting to a theater later on this year?
Our plan is to bring it somewhere else. We actually have some other shows because Olivia has a writing partner. Her name's Hallie, who you met. And basically, the two of them have been writing musicals for the past 3-4 years now. And we're going to be workshopping one of their new shows. It's called Fated, so Fated, not fading away, fated like your fate.
Right.
And we're going to work on that one for a little bit, and eventually we're going to get back to waiting, but we want to explore some other pieces while we can.
You know, like first 6 months of having a production company.
So I think it was interesting to me that look, I'm used to musicals, right? I'm used to Broadway musicals and their full-blown productions and so on. And I noticed you were always every time I would say musical, you were insistent on saying no, song cycle. Now, I by watching it, I understand the difference. But why don't you sort of, on the one hand, explain the difference so people who don't know do know, and secondly, which I think I can guess, but secondly, in terms why you chose it to be a song cycle rather than a full-blown musical.
Yeah.
Well, the primary difference between a song cycle and a musical is that a song cycle doesn't necessarily have a book. So a book is basically all the words, the script, anything that kind of connects it in terms of a storyline. For example, Songs for a New World by Jason Robert Brown is a song cycle. I don't know if anyone knows that one. It's wonderful. And a musical is kind of what you know is a musical. It has all the songs, it has a script, it has characters, they go through journeys and all of that. And that's kind of the primary difference between a song cycle and a musical.
And you chose to make it a song cycle?
We realized that we didn't know how to connect all of these stories in terms of a plot because it would be a lot of characters or just 2 characters going through a lot. And we kind of realized that it kind of connected better through using theme as like a theme as its main story.
We are thinking about making it a concept musical, which is a very, very specific type of musical where it can sort of read like a song cycle, but there are a few characters. There are, I guess, like examples of concept musicals would be like Hair, because like there's not a particular story, but you understand like what's going on. Maybe Company.
Would Godspell count?
Yeah. So sort of where a concept musical is where like if we were to make the next step for this would be maybe to write monologues. Like somebody, like we could write a monologue about someone waiting in a hospital waiting room, and that would count, and that would make it more of like a concept musical rather than a song cycle.
Sure. So it'd be more like a short story than a book, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a bunch of little short stories.
Yeah, I like to think about it as a musical theater collage, where it's just a bunch of things together that kind of have a general, theme, color.
And those are a lot easier to write. I'm working on with my writing partner, Fated. It's my first ever full book musical because we wrote another concept musical. It is so hard because when you know a lot about plot, you can find every plot hole. And it makes it very hard to finish. But the more people you have in the room, but it is really funny. I always knew I could do the music, but this book is just like, it's so hard to create your own story. And I think that's why a lot of people love writing jukebox musicals and things based off of movies or books, because it's like, you know which points and beats to hit.
So go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, who's inspired you in this space, and who do you kind of look toward to continue your inspiration or want to be like or want to learn from? Besides each other.
No, yeah.
No. We were just like, who's gonna talk first?
We're doing like that look to be like, I think Jason Robert Brown for sure. Is just an amazing composer, storyteller. Sarah Bareilles is a big one for our music style. I feel like we do have more of I'll just say for me, I have a pretty contemporary musical theater style. Olivia's kind of playing more into folk and rock, which is really fun. And that's a different set of
And one thing that's really important to us is that we've noticed that there's not many female composers on Broadway that are strictly composers. Most female composers on Broadway have been successful pop stars already, and that's really like fascinating because there's Janine Tesori, and there's like Aaron's and Flaherty, but it's like they're like man and a woman. So it's like it's really interesting that there aren't that many household female composers.
That's right. It's like Cyndi Lauper and so on and so forth. You're right. The former.
Why do you think that is, though? I mean, that's fascinating. Why do you think that is? Like, if you had to guess.
I mean, besides just like the simple answer like sexism and breaking through the glass ceiling, I think it's also that a lot of female writers have like a very different perspective that might not be seen in a commercial lens with like the old type of producer. So in order to get people to understand their style, they have to release it on their own first.
Yeah.
It's just a guess.
And also we noticed that with a lot of fellowships or opportunities for young writers, it's very solo based, where they're looking for people who do things on their own. And we've learned that a lot of women like to work together and to create teams. And I'm not saying that these things don't have places for teams. It's just we've noticed that a lot of them are primarily for people who are doing things on their own, and that could also be part of it, that women like to collaborate. But that's just based off of our experience.
And also like the theater industry really I don't know, there's just some sort of stigma about having a bigger team. Like I feel like everybody, like we're trained to be that one person, and it seems like the more people you have, the less worth you have, but I think it's the complete opposite.
I completely agree.
So is your, let's call it, your ongoing game plan is to continually build kind of collaborative teams, right? And maybe one of the teams would do something and another team would do something else, the third team would do something else. But one way or the other, you'd all be intertwined.
Absolutely.
Wow. That, first, it's a great idea. And secondly, that's ambitious too. But you know, I actually honestly have no doubt you'll pull it off. So
we're working on being ambitious. It's hard.
Oh no, I don't think you're working on it. I think you're already.
Yeah, I don't think you're working on it. I think you are. Yeah.
Well, you've already accomplished stuff. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm trying to remember what the hell I was doing at your age, other than my political stuff. Yeah, you know what I was doing? I was literally a copy editor in Encyclopedia Britannica. And then I was a public aid caseworker. That's what I did. I know what, actually, that was when I was older than you are. Look, what you're doing is, I am not kidding. It's not just remarkable in that you're achieving and accomplishing something that you've always wanted to do, but it's genuinely good. Look, because it's look, just the hard reality of it is a lot of people do work, and to their credit, they do work hard, but it isn't easy to be good. And especially not easy to be good in the world that you've chosen to be in, right? I mean, it's really hard. I mean, look, I've seen, I think my favorite play in the musical in my younger days, it's been superseded with Come From Away in Hamilton now, but was Man of La Mancha, and the original only, right? You watch the movie, you see the later cast. It's not that it's bad; it's fine, but it occurs to me, when you think about that it's not just a matter of the book and the lyrics and the music and the staging, it's also a matter of the individuals who are doing what they're doing in concert with each other. And you lose that. One individual changes, or four individuals change, or they do a revival 10 years later. It's still wonderful, but it's not great. And it makes a big difference in terms of how you view things. I mean, people, how often have you heard it was great with the original cast? But you don't hear that it was great. And again, it's literally could be word for word and note for note, but the original cast mattered. You guys have already accomplished something with a cast that you cast, and now you're going to take it forward. Now, okay, so let me ask you this, and this is a little more of what you're learning on the business side, on the marketing side, on the publicity side, on the just getting your name known side. How do you think about it, and then what do you do? Whoop, Kenny disappeared. There, you're back. All right. What do you do? So how do you think about it first in terms of conceptually? How do you say, okay, I'm going to get myself out there, and then what have you actually done to begin that process? Because it takes a while to get there.
It's really hard, especially now that I feel like there's a lot, like an oversaturation of like self promotion, and like you even see like pop stars saying, "Oh, my label wants me to go on TikTok so I can make more money on albums," and like that's it. It's such a strange thing with this generation where it's like there's so much to see. It's really hard to like be that person that like sticks out, I guess. And there's no real strategy besides just continuously posting, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know how to answer that, so thanks. I think a big thing is we're trying to figure out which parts we need to work on quantity and which parts we need to work on quality. I think that we're very lucky that I feel like we have a very high quality work, and we've worked really hard for it over the past, 10 years to create that catalog of work, and now we're trying to release it. We're trying to figure out whether we need to release it like every day and do like a whole thing, or kind of like let things go as they will. But yeah, I think this is something we're still working on, especially as young people, and we're still trying to find new connections and new opportunities, and things like this is a wonderful way for us to work on marketing ourselves. So thank you for that. So that's
our parents' network. We're very lucky that like our parents happen to know people that they're really smart and cool, so their friends are smart and cool. So
you do have smart and cool parents.
Yeah, we do, and that's really been the nicest thing is that our dad is in marketing and then our mom is in theater, so it really is nice that we have both of that. Especially like I've been working on our website a lot, and my dad is like, no, you need to cut that sentence, you need to be more confident in that, or no, you don't want to say it like that, you want to make sure that you're wording it in a way that like draws people in. So I don't need to pay for a consultant. I'm very lucky that I can just be like, how does this sound?
And he makes sure we always have a call to action. There needs to be some sort of thing that the audience can do or take away from a certain piece, and we're trying to really work on that, because if there is a piece of media that's out there that we're not really sure how to interact with it, how are people going to use it? It just kind of exists. Oh, yeah.
Well, one thing that you might want to consider, because I mean, there's sort of a thing. Well, it's more me than most people, I guess. But there's a whole thing in our industry, my industry, the one your dad and I are in, that says, one of the big marketing things is separate signal from noise. But I've always maintained that's not the big issue. That the bigger issue is separating signal from other signal. Right? That's because there's tons of, in the technology world, there's tons of good products in any given field. So the question is, how do you step away from just being a great product, just like the other great products, and what's going to distinguish you to make people notice you? And one of the things for you guys, I think, and it does occur to me while you're doing this, is your conversation about the journey you're on. Nobody talks about that unless somebody's shooting a documentary, after they've already become a star, right? That, again, that sort of jackassy dancer guy I was talking about. I wish I could think of his name. He was on So You Think You Can Dance. He became one of their judges years later. But, as much as he wasn't a very nice person, on the other hand, to his amazing credit, is the guy plugged away, and you end up appreciating the journey he was on, and they documented it, right? Your journey's both unique and universal simultaneously, right? And being able to continually kind of know it and tell the story could be an amazing thing. Guess who's back? So it might be something to just keep in mind. And one of the things I think Kenny and I would like to do is in a few months, bring you back on and see where you're at. And, let's follow your journey here and see where you're at. And the good news about that is you can point to something that says, well, here's our journey. Here's what the first time we talked about it. Here's the next time we talked about it. And in the meantime, do all the other things you have to do to both document and your journey without losing sight of what you're doing, which is much more important than just the journey. Now, I think, given the time, and we're kind of at the end of the hour, do you think we discussed it, and we would love it if you guys could sing for us, maybe? Sing us.
Yes.
Now we have to pray that the technology will hold up.
Yes.
I know.
If you want us to do a test drum to see if it's not too loud,
whatever you like, we'll follow your lead here.
Mm-hmm. It's always a puzzle with these headphones and the guitar. So, but this is how I record in the studio. So.
Okay, great.
How does that sound?
Perfect.
Sounded good. Yeah, it's
It's a rolly chair.
Do you want to go through the whole thing? This song is called One Line, and it's from Waiting. It's usually sung as a group number, but we're going to sing it as a duet. So when Liv's done vamping, I will start. There's a list of the things that we don't ever get to, but the things on your mind you manage not to forget. No regret for the one-sided conversations. Time after time, my own side just becomes forsaken. I need one line to break all of my silence. I need a time to say what's on my mind. I need one line of words before they're taken. Give me the time. I need one line. Years of walls that my words couldn't push through. 'Cause every time I try, they only multiplied. And I can't fight this urge for the light. There's no way I can sit and be polite. I need one line to break all of my silence. I need a time to say what's on my mind. I need one line of words before they're taken. Give me the time. I need one day to seize my opportunities, to reach out of the shadows of your mind. And one day I can be more than the measly girl who bites her tongue, not knowing who she wants to be. So starting now, I'm learning how to speak. I need one line to break all of my silence. I need a time to say what's on my mind. I need one line of words before they're taken. Give me the time. Give me the time. Give me the time. I need one line.
amazing. Sorry, I'm not blaming my cat for that. That was
Incredible.
that was absolutely fantastic.
Thank
That was
you.
great. Oh my God.
Thank you, guys. You were just wonderful, really.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
you
so
look
much.
Forgive me
so
for my technical
joined.
snafus, but
Yeah.
It's all good.
Oh my gosh. You two are incredible. It's so I am sure it hasn't always been easy to work as twins and do a bunch of things, but the amount of respect you clearly have for each other, the way you hold each other and hold each other's space, and just the joy of singing together, just from your faces, is really incredible. So, kudos to you for that. It's really,
So-
really.
let's plan. I don't know, 6 months. We'll talk to you guys about it, or we'll talk to your agent dad.
Yeah.
We'll talk to your agent dad
Agent
about
Ellen.
it, but we'll get it worked out with you to come back on to sort of say, okay, let's see where they're at now.
That
We'd
sounds
love
awesome.
to. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
It was wonderful. All right,
All right.
guys.
Both. Thank
Yeah.
you both.
Wow, huh?
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I still really need to figure out how to do this StreamYard thing right, though. Brent had sent me a note saying, you should go to solo, which he was right, but
Yeah.
I couldn't remember where solo was, so I kept hitting different views, and then I realized, oh, wait a minute, solo is actually on the green screen part, and that's what I got finally right. The first time the cat really did jump on it, but this time no.
Second time.
No, I will tell you something. That may have been my favorite show of all time. I am not kidding. I'm in awe of their talent. I am in awe of their actual organization. I mean, how organized they actually are, and their level of thought about it.
Oh, they're brilliant, and the way they articulate their thoughts, and they think through things, and I mean, there is no doubt we will see them on the stage receiving honors. I cannot wait for that to happen. As
well, I know that
bringing tons of joy for a lot of people who are watching their shows.
Down the road, I'm pretty sure they're going to be looking for investors, and pretty sure we can help them find some.
Pretty confident.
So I think we should do that.
Yes, I think that would be a way that we could help. About the only way, since they're not going to cast us on stage. There's no other way.
They cast us on stage. That ends their dreams, and also kind of makes me think, well, maybe they're not as smart as we thought they were. Right?
Yeah,
we are definitely the wrong ones.
No, we are.
So,
for sure.
All right, sir. Well,
all right. Fantastic. Great first show of 2024.
Oh my God, yeah! What a way to kick off this year.
What a way!
These two,
great,
awesome. All right, sir. So
always enjoy this today, Paul, and thanks everyone for joining us. And
we'll see you next month.
Next month, yeah. Looking forward to it. All right, go you screwballs.
This has been a Players Productions Network digital broadcast. This has been a Players Productions